yesterday, some breaking news happened as soon as we turned these microphones off, so we haven't been able to talk about it yet. We'll get into that. If you miss any of the show hours, you can always catch it at YouTube or 1080thefan.com. And before we dive into the big breaking news from yesterday, I want to remind you guys to put on your calendars Tuesday, June 24th. Why? You might be asking.
Why? What's going on that day?
Well, your local Toyota dealers presents the 11th Annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms. It's also brought to you by Henderson and Daughter Windows and Doors and Philbrook Law Accident and Injury Lawyers. Victor Eccles will be out there with breakfast, burritos, and lunch. Matt's Barbecue will be on hand as well with that bomb brisket. And foursomes can be purchased at 1080thefan.com. Click on the Fan Golf Classic logo and come hang out with us Tuesday, June 24th.
I'm like, yeah.
And that was the collective sound made from Portland, Oregon, USA yesterday. As it was announced, the Blazers sent out a statement. The estate of Paul G. Allen announces it has commenced a formal sales process for the Portland Trail Blazers NBA franchise consistent with Allen's directive to eventually sell his sports holdings and direct all estate proceeds to philanthropy. The estate has selected investment bank Allen and Company and law firm Hogan Lovells to lead the sales process, which is estimated to continue into the 25-26 basketball season. The Board of Governors must then ratify a final purchase agreement. This news does not affect the Seattle Seahawks or the estate's 25% interest in the Sounders.
Poor Seahawks are getting held hostage they're getting held hostage a little bit longer, even though they have to sell that at some point as well.
They will sell that as well, but that's not our conversation. Our conversation is...
We did it!
He passed away in 2018.
Yeah.
It is May 2025, and they have finally started the process of selling our beloved Trailblazers to who? We don't know. I listened to the Locked On Pod, the homie Mike Richmond. He says that sources tell him 9 to 12 months is the process we could be looking at here. So could be sitting exactly here at this moment announcing the new ownership has been approved by the NBA Board of Governors, and it's so-and-so with the so-and-so group, and there you go. But the Blazers are for sale. The Allens and the Vulcans will be no more.
Hallelujah. Our prayers have been answered. It has been a long, nearly decade now that Paul Allen, his estate has been running the team, and it just continues to blow my mind that we have had this situation since 2018, and we've never once had the person who technically owns the team speak on record, or the person who is allowed to have meetings once a week with the general manager and the head coach of the team to talk about player personnel decisions and roster management and all that. Never once have to give an interview or answer a question to anybody.
And they won't.
They won't
sell this
they
team
will never
without
do it.
having said one single word publicly.
About what their plans are, about what their hopes are, about what their expectations are, about what their goals are, about where they want to go. It has been a very weird couple of days. I mean, I went from pretty damn low on Monday night to having a feeling that was going to happen, but in the back of your mind, it's like when you buy a lottery ticket on your way home, you're like, what if I won? This would be cool. I quit my job. And then you realize, no, I just flushed $10 down the toilet and I didn't win the lottery. And you have that swift kick in the nuts of where the hell is the team going? Where is the hope? How do you get out of this kind of no man land purgatory that you're in right now? And then you follow it up the next day with, holy crap, they're selling the team. And the idea of change and what is to come is not scary in the least to me, because I know, similarly to the idea of talking about tanking, it's never a guarantee that it's going to work. It's never a guarantee that you'll get the number one pick, but I'm willing to try because I think it's worth the risk. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get a great owner. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get somebody who invests every penny and wants to win and is an excellent, wonderful owner who accomplishes all the goals and dreams that we have as sports fans. But what I do know is you weren't going to accomplish that with the current administration and with Jody and Bert running the show, because they never had a long-term vision. They never set a direction on what they wanted to accomplish because they've just been placeholders. And we've all known that they were placeholders, and we're eventually going to have to sell the team. So for the first time for me in a long time, yesterday was a great day to be a Blazer.
I don't blame any single person with the team that has talked about the ownership situation publicly when they're asked about it. What I find odd is the selling as if they were just going to be the owners for 45 years.
We all knew this was going to happen.
I mean, this was inevitable. It was in the estate. The commissioner of the league talked about this at either an owners meeting or a press conference of some sort. He brought this up, that they were indeed going to have to sell it. It's in the estate wishes. So I always just kind of found it odd a little bit, the kind of noise surrounding them as if they were going to be here forever and they're great. And like, I'm not saying they're not great behind the scenes if you work for them. I always found it a little odd. Brian Berger, who does a sports business podcast from Portland, he was on with Danny and Dusty. He was asked about the guy who tried to buy the team a couple times, but was told thanks, but no thanks. And that would be Dirt's favorite guy, Phil Knight.
I would be very surprised. I have not spoken with Phil Knight. I have spoken with others who are in the Phil Knight stratosphere, and I would be very surprised if at 87 years old, Phil Knight got back into this. I think there's a variety of reasons, some of which you just mentioned. But I just don't think – the only way I could see him getting involved is if he found out that the Blazers were being purchased by out-of-towners who really had their eyes focused on moving the team from Oregon. Maybe he gets involved to try and keep them here. But other than that, I think he's 87. He's given so much charity at a number of different places. I just don't think that he's going to get involved at this point. 7 years ago, yeah, he could have gotten involved, but now I don't see it.
So that might be 100% accurate. My
Mm-hmm.
the only counter I would say, and I have no connections to Phil Knight whatsoever, he put in a bid 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
like 85 and 87 is a difference. It's not really much of a difference in my mind. So I'm not going to say that he's off the list because it was just like a year and a half, 2 years ago he put in a bid.
It wasn't 2018 when
No.
when Paul Allen
No.
passed. It was recently
It
that
wasn't
he tried to
7
make a
years
bid
ago,
to buy the team.
You know, to his point of like 7 years ago, yeah, he just put in a bid.
Yep.
2 years ago. So I'm not going to dismiss it. Look, nobody knows who the owner is.
No.
We can speculate all we want. You know, I heard a lot of Jensen Wong. I'm like,
It's not happening, dude. The guy doesn't
based
care
on
about
what?
sports.
He's with the Saudi Crown Prince right now. He's not interested.
No,
or
he's
he's
not-
shown any interest in sports.
No, he's not investing money in Oregon State athletics.
I also am not going to sit in the fear-mongering of relocating the team.
No.
I'm not going to say it's impossible. I just don't buy that it's real. I understand the ownership arena stuff is a thing, and do you got to climate pledge your arena? Do you need to do a total renovation for $1 billion plus, or do you tear it down and build a new one? I know that whole conversation is there. It exists. But I just don't think the league is in a spot if they're going to expand to Seattle and Vegas, and that is definitely why they're listing this now.
Yes, it's going to happen this summer.
It's because it's going to probably get announced this summer. I don't imagine the league's going to expand and then say, let's relocate a market we've been in since the 70s. It was a bad look and a black eye on the league with the Seattle stuff. They did not handle it well. The city representatives also did not handle it. State representatives did not handle it well. And I don't think Adam Silver is that kind of commissioner. The dude reacts the minute he sees a negative tweet. You think he's got the backbone to be moving a franchise out of a market like Portland? I don't really buy that. But I also can't answer any arena type questions. Nobody can.
No.
It's just going to be who's going to have the money. And the best case scenario you could hope for here, because the NBA gets new owners all the time, not all the time, but they get new owners. They have the last few years. You get a lot of meddling owners. The best case scenario is you get a Steve Ballmer. I need exactly what Steve Ballmer is. I couldn't have disagreed more with Danny yesterday on the poo-pooing of Steve Ballmer as an owner. I want Steve Ballmer. You can say SGA trade, and I'll say, yeah, and still was in the playoffs, still had a loaded roster,
Yeah.
still in the conversation, passionate, new arena, built this thing for fans. Like, that dude is
The dream owner.
bees deep.
I would take
He's
that guy.
bees deep.
Any
And
day of the week.
A bad move is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's, guess what? We had bad moves happen here. We haven't been to the playoffs in 4 years. So ain't like this ownership group's done anything great.
The one that decided to keep Neil O'Shea around when they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs and fired Terry Stotts, that ownership group.
The best thing this ownership group did was start a G League team. Like, that's the best thing we can point to. Other than that, yeah, I want a Steve Ballmer all day. I want passionate sports guy with a lot of money all in to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's such a low bar. G League team is your best accomplishment in 7 years. That's such a low bar.
Can you name me a better one?
No,
What's a better thing they did?
I don't think I can. That's the sad reality
We
that we
needed a
lived
G
in.
League team. They at least said, okay, we'll bring that back.
They have solved that issue for us. Yeah, I think this has gotten to the point where they're costing so much money. Some of the names thrown out, nobody has any clue where this is going to go. I agree with your Phil Knight stance. It wasn't a decade ago that he tried to buy the team. That was 2 years ago. He was going to do it with the minority. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. The minority owner of the
Dodger
Dodgers
guy, Smolinski.
the real estate mogul down there in Los Angeles. So it's like that guy's got money too. Swag Riggins, not quite sure
He's
the name.
not sure his name. He's just saying yes.
He gave the arms up on that one. So it's a situation where I know it would scare people because
Smolinsky.
Okay, what happens if Phil Knight passes away? He is up there in age, and how
there's
does
an
it?
estate? It's just like the Oregon situation.
I don't
Oregon's
also
gonna get
don't.
money.
I don't think he's going to be a majority owner in this case. I think he'd have a lot of money. He'd have a lot of input, and he'd do a ton to try and keep the team in the area. Which I don't have the fear that they're going to leave for every reason that you just listed. I think because of how expensive these things are and how. I mean, when you're looking at the last 7 to 8 years in the NBA, you'll know this better than I do. How many NBA teams have truly come up for sale? So we have Boston, Minnesota,
Phoenix,
the Clippers, obviously, with Ballmer.
Well, yeah.
Well, you get my point.
They come up for sale. They were forced to sell.
They just happen to be for sale. The Clippers are available. Who wants to buy
Did you
them?
say the Timberwolves?
I said the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Full sale, because there's different versions here too, because Haslam bought a portion of the
Yeah, I'm not
Bucks,
talking portion.
sold
I'm talking
portions.
this similar situation where it's a full sale of the team.
In the last how many years?
Just in the last, we'll just use the last decade.
I think those are the only ones.
Those are the only ones, right?
Because Cuban's still a
the
minority owner.
Nets.
The Nets, okay.
Oh, that's right, Prokhorov.
That's
got
right. He
out of the
sold the
game.
team. He got out
The
of
Jazz,
the team.
Ryan
Jazz, okay.
Smith, I think his name is.
Okay.
And I'm seeing the Raptors.
Oh, the Raptors got
Oh,
sold?
no, that's an old one, maybe.
Okay, a little bit older than
But
that.
yeah, for the most part, those are
But the point is, like, I think there's a lot of very rich people who are desperate to own.
the Mavericks.
Well, yeah, but I think Mark Cuban still technically
still
like 15%.
owns.
Yeah, he still owns a
He's
portion
not,
of it.
he has no power in that organization.
No.
He was
has no
supposed
say.
to, and that's the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole other can of worms to get into. These things just don't come available very often, and so I think having a situation where there's a lot of really rich people who are looking to add to their portfolio, there's a lot of really enticing names to get in volved with.
It's a club.
It's a
billionaire's
very
club.
exclusive club
Yes.
to be, an owner of a sports franchise. And so I find this news, I'm not a fear-mongering guy. The team is not moving cities. And sure, maybe the owner ends up being crappy. Maybe he ends up making bad moves or she ends up making bad moves. We have no clue how it will work out. But I knew what our current reality was. And our current reality was an owner who was never held accountable, never had to do an interview, never had a long-term vision.
But she
never
didn't care about basketball.
Didn't care about basketball.
wasn't
Didn't
her
dictate
thing.
a course. She would sit courtside and we don't have to pretend that she cares about the NBA. Like it was ridiculous. It was not her team. It was Paul Allen's team. And the fact that she was allowed to own it for 7 years was a joke. We all knew that it was going to get sold at some point. And this is a wonderful, wonderful day.
She didn't own the team, though. The estate did.
The estate owned the team, yes.
Yeah.
She was the head of the estate.
She's the face. She won the head. She's the face.
I think she's technically in charge of the estate.
I don't know if she's the head or in charge. The estate is just dictated with all these terms. Burt Cold had more say in that organization than she did.
Sure. He was running the show, which is also laughable. Anything other than that is better than the situation we've been in for last nearly decade.
I find the potential owner thing a kind of a pointless exercise. I don't mean to discourage people from texting in or sending in thoughts, but it's all wish list stuff that has no real evidence. So it's just like, hey, what about that guy? What about this guy? What about that guy? What about this girl? What about that guy? What about that guy? Yeah.
Could be any of them.
It's going to be a bid.
Could be none of them.
Probably going to be a group.
Yeah.
Not going to be just one dude. Unless Jensen Wong is done, hanging out with a Saudi prince asking for that technology money.
Yeah.
So unless it's that, it's probably going to be a group.
I'll take the Saudi Crown Prince. Let's go, baby.
What would you say? What's your best, just kind of general guess of what you think Phil Knight's interest still is?
I absolutely think that he is still interested. I think he is.
He'll come back into the fray.
I don't know if he'll be the ultimate buyer of the team, but I don't think he has the public back and forth with the Vulcans that he did 2 years ago and the leaking of stories to the media that he did 2 years ago the investment in the general area of the Moda Center and the money that's being poured into black-owned businesses and the communities around it, I don't think he's doing that without a long-term thought in mind of this could be a feather in my cap at the end of the day of remodeling the Moda Center, remodeling the area, a city that I love, protecting the franchise from ever moving.
I just think that's the dream scenario.
Yeah, I think that he is absolutely still interested. And his being old does not bother me, again, because I don't think he's going to be the majority owner for that reason. I think he's going to be a ton of money behind it, but I don't think he's going to be the majority owner because of that.
As a country, we've all decided that we want the oldest people running everything, so why would Phil Knight not make sense?
I'll take it, man. He's got billions of dollars. He wants to spend them. I know that guy will spare no expense to do whatever it takes to win. A lot of people hate that he does it for a certain university in this state, and they're going to love it if he does it for the NBA team. Should be funny if the shoe's on the other foot. I'd be thrilled if he's involved with the purchase.